In this video, we're going to cover trigger nodes in N8n and discuss a little bit how they work, what some of them are used for, why you might consider them, as well as just generally what are trigger nodes, so you can understand how to start your workflows. All right, and so you can find the triggers, especially if you start with a new workflow. So we come over here just to open a new workflow really quick. Just click on this. You'll see that it starts, if my page would load, there we go. It starts with just add your first step. And so if you click this button, it's going to open up the trigger node options here. So that's what we're starting with. And so you see, I grabbed just almost all of them. So if I click on add a trigger, I got manual, I got schedule, webhook, on form submission, when executed by another workflow, on chat, and a couple. I got a bug trigger, an error trigger here, and then I have a fill in the blank. And the fill in the blank we'll talk about when we talk about on app events. But I just want to go through kind of what your options are real quick and what each of them does. So we start here with the when clicking execute workflow. This is called a click trigger. So this one will work when you come down here and push this button. And that's about it. So if you have a full workflow, you got maybe an AI agent and you've got some set nodes and branches and switches and all that. After this guy, it will not work unless you click this button. That's what this one is. So for any workflows that you don't intend to have active, so you see it says inactive up here. If you click this, it turns it active. It counts against your active workflows that you're allowed in N8n. This one will only work if you click this. And so there's no point in turning it active, just because it's not going to be operating otherwise. Now, if you have maybe a click trigger paired with a schedule trigger, that might be something that you have every day at 10 a.m. It'll do the thing unless you also or otherwise click this to do the thing. All right, so again, click triggers, real simple. You click, test or execute workflow, and it operates. Now, schedule triggers are what you might expect. They run on a schedule. So they will turn on based on whatever time frame you set up here in the settings. So your options are seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, or even a custom cron time setting. So that I think that makes like you do some sort of math in here. So format minute, second, hour, day of the month, day of the week. And you just set that for whatever time frame you want to turn this guy on. So we could set this for like one day at say 10 a.m. and 17 minutes. And that's how you'd set this one. So if you want to do weeks, you can do 1 week or 2 weeks, trigger on a specific day of the week, what time of day, again, the minute of the day. If you do minutes, it'll check every 5, 10, 15, 7, 19 minutes, whatever you set that for. Same with seconds, as well as hours. You can number of hours in between checks, or you can trigger at a specific minute of an hour. All right, and then there's months. You would set how many months between the trigger on any particular day of the month. And if you set it for like February 29th, it'll only operate every 4 years. So that's schedule triggers. Webhook triggers. I have another video where I discuss webhooks, and I do go over webhook triggers. I'll put the link for that video in the description below. But just understand that webhook triggers are for when some other service, some other website, some other operation is sending information to your workflow here, and it's being received via a webhook. And so the webhook, you would grab this URL, and normally you would put in this URL in that other service so that it knows where to send the information. Your options are, delete, get, head, patch, post, and put. Generally speaking, if you're using webhooks, if you're a beginner, that is, if you have more advanced skills, then you might be using the others. But you're going to be using get and post. And usually you're looking at a post. Sometimes you're looking at get if you're trying to get information. If you're trying to send information to do something, it's a post. If you're trying to get information from that website, it's a get, but it's not always true. You can change the path of the URL up here by just changing this. So if we just say test, it becomes webhook/test. All right. And then you want to make sure you change that for, it changes it in both the production and the test URL. You'll notice test, let's say webhook-test, production doesn't have the -test. You set up your authentication for how the service if it requires authentication to be able to access this this webhook or to get the information from the service that you're getting it from, again, I cover all that in the webhooks video. And then respond, you can either do it immediately or you can do it using a respond webhook. So at the end of your workflow, you put a respond to webhook node, and that would then send the information back. Or when the last webhook or the last node finishes in your workflow is your other option. And then they have some other options down here, which again, I do cover in that other video. All right, now probably for my favorite one of all is the when executed by another workflow trigger. Now this trigger it causes your workflows to become tools for other workflows. And so for this one, what we do is we come in here and you would set your fields. All right, so by that, I mean, you would pick what information the other workflow that is using this workflow as a tool needs to send in order to operate. So to do that, you just click add a field and then you name it. So like first name or session ID, or you can use underscores if you want, ID, or however you want to set it. Just set all of the fields that need to be passed to this workflow in order for this workflow to operate properly. And so as an example, a lot of the bots that I build, I make tools. Let me see, I think I got one over here. What do we got here? So this is my main agent that I'm trying to work on. This is Roger 3.0, and it's not quite done. It's not finished yet, but you notice like at the end of every single branch he has here is this is a execute workflow node. And then I have here's a tool for him that starts with this when executed by another workflow node. So I have information being passed to previous conversations, user current request, session ID. And so again, this is my contact database uploader. So if we come over to his contact tool, here is the other end of it. And so I have all of those fields that I then have to pass this information through to get to the tool to then have the tool operate. And so this allows my workflows to be like super, super massive without bogging down any one particular bot. Because if you make them too big, like your computer crashes, it'll just take way too much memory to actually run this in N8n, just even to display it on your computer. And so I'm able to make these really big workflows with one agent by giving him tools. And this is kind of the path to be able to use those tools, is the when executed by another workflow node. Now you can also give it an example input or a JSON. You can use an example JSON as the input. If you choose the accept all data, I have found that that just doesn't work. Anytime I try to get it to work, it just doesn't pass any information. And I don't know if I'm using it wrong, but every time I've set one of these execute on other workflow nodes to a tool that has that, it just lets me know, oh, we're not gonna pass any data at all because it's set to accept all. I'm like, oh, that's really strange. So maybe I just don't understand it myself, but I just can't get this one to work for any of my bots. Okay, moving on. On-form submission. On-form submission allows you to generate essentially your own style of Google Forms. So you can create an authentication where you require them to log into the form, or you can set it to none. You can create a form title. You have a form description like, let us know your problem. And then you build the form. So you can have, question, you have your question, and then you can do, have them put in their email or put in a number or a password or upload files or a drop-down list. If you set a drop-down list, then you have options for the drop-down list, right? You can make it multiple choice. You can add, just questions that they have to answer. And then what else have we got? You have a text area. So if you want them to have more space to put in, so that's the difference between like a single line of text and a paragraph block of text. And then what you do, why zoom out? And then it'll respond when the form is submitted, or you can do when a workflow finishes. And so think of this as the ability to have a person input some information, and then the data that they input gets customized in some way that then get presented to them on the response page. So an example of this maybe be you build out a custom-made lead magnet generator where they put in their business information, and then you do whatever process you need to do with your backend workflow. And then on the, okay, your form has been submitted page, boom, here's your download for your free lead magnet that's been customized. It's got their company name on it. Their specific issues are involved in it. That's actually a workflow that I'm working on generating. Hopefully in the next week or two, I'll be able to give out something like that can do that with PDF downloads or stuff like that. So that's an on-form submission. And if you'll come over here, we'll just grab the URL. I'll show you. He's probably not going to show too much of anything. It's not listening. So let's do this real quick. Let me deactivate these so that we can actually test this. Deactivate. Okay, now we're going to test it. I guess I could just click that. So here's the form. That would work better. So I have my drop down. It doesn't have any options. I got my text area, which is a single line of text, and then we have the text area, which is the paragraph, so they can write as much as they want. So that's just how that works. It doesn't have my form name, so if I come over here and we say, oh, what was this? Oh, no, stop that. And we're gonna, in here, we'll just say like test form, and then I'll show you again, just test that. So there's test form. So you can build out your own forms. Who needs Google Forms anymore? Although technically you can build Google Forms right within this as well. So that's also fun. Let's turn this back on. Did I turn this off? That's back on. Okay, close that. I don't like having extra tabs open, even though I got a billion open. All right, and then next we have when chat message received. Now, when chat message received can either operate here within your window in N8n just by opening up Open Chat. Click that button, said Open Chat, and you would type in hello, and now it's going to break because nothing's going to happen. See, it sends some information on. Maybe you add an AI agent to it to respond to you. So receive that, and we'll say hello again, hello. And then it doesn't have a model, so I'll add a model really quick. Just, okay, that's fine. And one more time, and then this time it'll actually respond. Hello, it passes it to the agent. The agent will then say, hello, how can I assist you today? All right, and so that's one way of doing the chat. The other is to actually set this up as a webhook. So for example, on my website, if you go to www.mayfloweradvising.com, it's my consulting firm's website. We grab, let's see here. How did I do that? I don't remember exactly. So how did I do that? I have I'm actually a little confused because there should be, there, yeah, that's it. Okay, you click make chat publicly available, and all of a sudden this becomes a webhook. And so you can set this webhook up for your website chatbot, or you just put this on another website, and it allows anybody to be able to converse with your workflow. And so maybe if you've got like a paid membership area that you have all of your documents and information and everything that's available to your paying subscribers, you put that into some sort of like vector store database, you set up an AI agent that has access to that vector store database, and now they're able to chat directly with you, the expert, on the back end by using your AI. So again, that's this button here. Okay, it's as simple as that. You click the button, and then it creates this little webhook that you would then, it even says webhook right there. And again, you can change the URL, the path here to what it is. You'll notice it does say chat at the end. You can do a hosted chat. You can do an embedded chat. So like I have it in embedded chat, which is a widget. You can have an authentication where they have to put in a username and password in order to be able to use it. And then here's the initial message that would get sent as soon as they open up the thing. So that is when chat message received. All right, then we also have error trigger. An error trigger is simply a trigger that if any other workflow in your account that you have set up this error trigger for, if any of them break or they error out for some reason, then this one will activate. And so we'll have over here, up here, you see under these 3 dots, you have settings. So all of your workflows have these settings, and you have this error workflow. What you can do is you just click that, and then you would find, like an error. So I have like a default one that I've made. And so once I hit save, this workflow here now, if it errors, it will trigger the other workflow that I've set up, which has this error trigger to start. All right. And so this will allow you to, let you know if something breaks. So maybe you're working on a client's workflows. And so you set a workflow up in their account, because again, N8n doesn't let you run your clients through your own account. You'd set up a workflow in their account, and it doesn't need to be active. It's just automatically active. That it sends you an email if for some reason their thing breaks. That way when you wake up, you're like, oh shoot, their thing broke overnight. You get into their account, you fix it for them before they even know there's an issue. All right. So those are kind of the main triggers that you're going to find under here. So you got manual, on schedule, on webhook, on form submission, when executed, on chat. I grabbed one from Other Ways, which is this error trigger one. You can do an email trigger with an IMAP if you want to send emails that way. I don't think most people who are like beginners are going to have to deal with that too much. N8n also has some triggers. I'm not going to go through any of those, but you also have MCP server triggers. So if those are just like fancy tools for agents, SSE triggers. But the last one I want to talk about, because I have this fill in the blank right here. You've probably been wondering what that's been about the whole time. So this one here, so it's on app event. If you click on this, it opens up this just absolutely huge list of other apps that N8n has connected with that allow you to just grab them and go. So they're all technically webhooks, I think. Maybe they might have their own custom way of doing it. But what it is an API connection to these services that then allows you to use that action from another service as the trigger here. So say that you're using Asana and you want to have, when a new Asana event is created, you click that and it creates a new trigger node here. You just stick that there, and you would set it up. You set up your credentials. What's the resource? What's the workspace ID? And then once you've put that data in, more options will open up. So let me grab one that I actually have credentials for. So we come over to trigger, come down here. I'll grab something from Google. Let's see. Something from Google that I actually have. Where do we go? Google Ads, calendar. Okay, we'll grab Google Docs. All right, so we see, now Google Docs does not have one. Okay, how about calendar? I know I have calendar. So on event created. So that's not the account I want. We'll do that one. So every minute, it says poll time. Poll time means how often is it going to check this trigger. So you can set it to minute, hour, day, whatever. So it's hour at 17 minutes. There we go. And it's going to check a calendar, check my calendar for what? Trigger event. What's the actual trigger? So on event created. And so what it's going to do is every hour, it's going to check my Google Calendar. It's going to see, has anything been created? And if so, it's then going to pass those events forward. All right. And so it's the same with all these other triggers in here. Pretty much any software that's in here that you can think of that has something going on, there's a trigger for it. And so, I mean, there's LinkedIn. So if for LinkedIn, they don't have any triggers, but you can do like a webhook call possibly. You'll notice that the ones that don't have their own version of triggers, they have these options of on schedule or on webhook. That's actually a decent way of doing it. So you'll like this Google Calendar trigger node here. It said, what's the poll time? Well, it's going to check every hour at 17 minutes. That's essentially just a schedule trigger when you really think about it. And what it's looking for is when an event is created. And so it technically just combined two nodes, a schedule trigger with a GET request to Google Calendar, and it made it into one node. And I think that's honestly what all these other on-app ones are, is it's just kind of technically two types of triggers. It's either a webhook trigger or a schedule trigger combined with the service. And so they just packaged it in a nice way to let you to do this kind of quickly. So that's it. That's the trigger breakdown. We'll call it trigger nodes for beginners in N8n or something like that. Hopefully this is helpful. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments below. I'm more than happy to go over something if I didn't necessarily cover it. And then if this video was helpful for you, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like and share the video. It really does help get this information out there to those who need it. If you want other great tutorials, or if you want tons of great workflows, kind of like the ones I previewed a little bit here in this video, be sure to click the link below to join my free school community. I've got tons of workflows from social media posting bots to executive assistants, business building things like marketing plan generators, customer avatar generators, and a whole lot more that'll help you with your business. As always, I'm Bradford Carlton. Let's automate your success together.